Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I'm here with Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review Westworld Season 3, Episode 5, Genre. And it's funny because in the preview trailer it looked like this episode was going to be a lot bigger than it was, but most of the episode is kind of just Dolores and her crew walking around and Serac kind of flying around. But it was actually one of the better episodes of the season for me because we got a lot of questions, and with a lot of answers to our questions, and with those answers just come more questions. But I was very satisfied with what we got with Serac and his flashbacks, and also what Dolores enacting her plan, the beginning stages of it.
Yeah, I thought everything with the Serac flashback and showing his motivations and kind of his own origin story was done really well. And also, like you said, with Dolores, following her journey, seeing what she wanted to do with this data. And also with Caleb, the way they kind of incorporated the genre drug and kind of used that to intertwine within that storyline, his own little trip, pretty much is what it was.
I forget how he describes it, but he says it's like 5 drips in one.
Yeah.
The way that they incorporated the different music, they got music from Apocalypse Now, The Ride of the Valkyries, also The Shining, Iggy Pop. When it turns to black and white, it becomes like an old-timey 1940s film noir. That was really cool, seeing it through his perspective. They couldn't really hone in on the music and on the aesthetics of the drug because it would have taken too much time away from the answers we were getting with Serac and Dolores' plan, but I thought in those moments, it really worked, especially when they have the car chase with the drone missile.
Yeah. Sometimes I found it a little off or a little jarring because of just the switches they were making from Caleb to Dolores and to Serac. But on a rewatch, it was much easier to digest.
It's funny because I got a lot of Breaking Bad vibes from Aaron Paul's performance here, because Jesse, when he would get strung out on heroin or some sort of drug, or when he would just be in an intense situation, a lot of those facial expressions, a lot of the movements, that's
he was prepared for this one.
He could portray comedy through just his physical movements.
Yeah.
And also his monologues. I thought his monologue about trapping the rats was also pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of hits home what this dilemma is do you want to be on this predetermined path, or do you want to make your own decisions that may end in your demise? And that's really what they hone in on with the human beings. It's similar to Season 1.
Well, it's a very...
Mid-season, the humans are breaking their loops.
It's a very interesting, I guess, dilemma. Would releasing this information be beneficial to society? Yes, on the outside looking in, a corporation mining people's data and putting them on paths, that's not good. But...
We all seem to be afraid of that in the real world.
Yes.
We don't want Zuckerberg as Serac.
When you have that data and it is making the world a better place, and you release that to the people and they've realized that their whole life they had no control over. That influx of information could, like you said, there's going to be suicides, murders, and all these things going around. And when they leave the station and they kind of see what's going on, it looks like this futuristic play on anarchy.
That's why I think Serac in the beginning, his goal is kind of altruistic. I mean, he watched a city of 2 million people just be completely obliterated. Mm-hmm. So that's what inspired. And what we learned here, too, is that his brother was more so the genius. His brother was the real architect behind Rehoboam. Serac still seems pretty capable intellectually, but it comes down to his brother really putting them on this path. And we also get more information about Liam Dempsey. But yeah, Serac starts as, I want to make humanity a better place. I want to make sure that these incidents don't happen anymore where we lose millions of people. But now it's become very much, I don't want to protect people, I want to change them.
Yes. And
down to their core, down to their anatomy. And once again, it goes back to the hosts.
I feel like Serac was more big picture in the implementation of this technology. And his brother to an extent, too, because he wants to murder Dempsey because he might get in the way of their plan. But like Serac said, he was one of those outliers and too unpredictable.
With the brothers, I almost wanted a Kichita type episode, where instead of flashbacks being narrated, and that kind of does happen in the Kichita episode as well, I wanted more scenes where this is very much in the moment, the two brothers having a discussion that doesn't necessarily, it kind of implicates where they both fall.
Yeah.
When it comes to the debate surrounding this machine and the capabilities of this machine. Liam Dempsey's father was perfectly cast. He was very convincing as sort of just a clueless hedge fund manager that threw his money at this machine that can predict the stock markets. Yeah. That's why he got in it.
I like when he's like, he built a machine to predict the past. Well, it's interesting, too. That was the Solomon build they were working on in the flashback, and they do reference previous systems, David and Saul, referencing the kings of Israel.
Yeah, and he goes, what the fuck is this one called now?
Yeah.
And we also see Liam Dempsey Jr. And it makes you think, because the story is told from Serac's perspective, when we get that explanation from Liam in episode 1, he kind of views it as his father's idea. He was like, my father believed in this.
Yeah.
So it makes you think, is Serac lying here? Did Liam Dempsey, was he really this clueless and naive, or did he have more of a say?
Yeah, I think I would tend to believe Serac than a child viewing his father probably in the best light possible.
Yeah.
Like, he built this, he was in charge, and he got screwed over by his partner. And I'm sure he has some suspicions that his partner was the one who killed him. But yeah, and it was great. I think it was young Serac, too.
Yes, young Serac was very good.
Yeah.
He looked like old Serac. He
I know.
looked like Vincent Castle.
So,
I always appreciate that when they do that.
it's weird because they did with Ford in season 1. They just did CG.
Right.
The de-aging.
And you would think Vincent Castle's a young guy. He's like, we'll put the budget somewhere else this time. We need the drones, the missile drones.
Much bigger scale this season.
And what Serac was doing with humans, what he was trying to do with his own brother, he even admits, he's like, my brother is one of these outliers. He's somebody that you can't predict because I guess in his case, he was just such a genius. He was uncontrollable.
He references, too, with just regular outliers that they sent him to a wood chipper, things like war. Caleb, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And what we've learned, he diverged from his path and he went with Dolores.
And the fact that he took it that far to basically keep his brother as a prisoner in this hospital that kind of looks like the technician offices in Westworld and even the Forge.
Mm-hmm.
When Logan was walking Dolores through the Forge and they saw all the people they were working on, that's the reason he wants that map. It is for the machine as a whole, but it's also very personal for him because he wants to save people like his brother.
Yeah.
And that's where he becomes kind of a maniac.
And just going back to the information, the people, I mean, the mother on the train. By the way, very clean subways.
Well, it's a more optimistic view of the future.
Yeah.
I like that. They didn't go with the kind of Blade Runner.
It is L.A., so maybe New York is still a shithole.
Well, to be fair, it's like they mostly shot it in Singapore. So. They're like, look at these futuristic cities. Oh, you mean Singapore? You mean modern 21st century cities? We're a little far behind here.
Yeah. But the mother with the daughter, seeing that she's destined to commit suicide, or you're destined to die, or just having like people just think you're an asshole. It's just like a weird, like, whoa, it's a kind of like a gut punch. I don't know. It's also because people, I think the worst part would be like finding out your daughter is going to die. Just on a personal level, people confronting the truths about themselves that they never really thought about in their own minds.
Hey man, are you kidding me? You know how much shit I have repressed? They say that's the biggest obstacle for therapy. It's getting patients to be honest with themselves.
Yeah.
Rehoboam just puts it right there on your smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hide from it. Mm-hmm. And that's interesting when they have the conversations of, do you want to really know? And I think no one would kind of be able to resist that curiosity. If someone said, we always say, would you like to know the day that you're going to die? It's always like, yeah, kind of.
I don't know.
Or I'd sign up for like 80 if you can guarantee me that.
But I think for Dolores, it's making that decision for all the people is kind of where she muddles the line of trying to do good. It's something where...
No, it's brilliant.
From person to person, like Caleb, his obviously life experience is different. And at this point, he's like, fuck it, I don't care what I know. But you see people like Lena Waithe's character, it's... Maybe she didn't want to know her brother that she had all this hope and optimism for is not going to end up the way that she would want it to.
Right. And she was great. She and Marshawn Lynch have been great additions. It reminds me of the scene in season 1 when William tells Lawrence, what if I told you I'm here to set you free? Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set you free just so that I can try and kill you. That's kind of what Dolores is doing. I'm going to set you guys free because I know it's going to create chaos, and chaos is a ladder, so I guess that's what she's trying to do. What's interesting here is Bernard's role in all of this, because I had guessed in the preview trailer that she was going to bring him in, show him Rehoboam, explain to him what's actually going on, and the Martin host kind of pokes at him, saying, hey, you know, it's time to choose a side here. Mm-hmm. So you wonder where Bernard is going to go.
I view Bernard as like the only pure character, because there are a lot of muddled characters in this. Even Maeve, to an extent, she has times when she can do things that aren't necessarily morally good. But I do think Maeve is one of the better characters in terms of morality in the show. But Bernard is just, I feel bad for him. He's just kind of stuck in this whole war, basically, just trying to do what's right.
You know, some way, there's going to be some piece of information that Dolores gives him or shows him, and then he's going to help her in some way. He might not fully commit to that side. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting because, like you said with Bernard, he seems to just be the punching bag for all these different people.
Yeah, and I love Stubbs trying to fight with one arm. He's doing his best.
It's like you forgot about me. And then the Martin host. I wondered this, too, if Bernard was going to try and break these other Dolores hosts down to try and... Because he even says it's hard to adapt when you're put in different situations. People, they make different choices.
Yeah.
But no, that Martin host was ready. He said, hey, my role here is done. And then he killed Palm Clementif. We barely got any of her this season. What a waste.
That was a pretty intense scene, too. Like, even just Sarac's reaction. He was shaking up this whole episode.
Yeah, dude. That was great when he's using the holographic communicator thing, and it kind of just explodes in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was just in that helicopter all episode getting pissy. Just punching things weakly.
And I like how they explain more of the visual representation of Rehoboam, where we kind of saw it as like an arrival, as a way to represent linear time, and maybe this is somehow what Rehoboam is being able to access. But it still can be something like that, but they kind of explained it as an eclipse.
Yes, exactly.
And as things start to hit the fan, they kind of separate.
And we see kind of what that power is in one of the earlier scenes of the episode. Is that the first scene when he's meeting with the president of Brazil?
Yes.
That was kind of just like a show-off scene to show what Serac is capable of, to show how powerful he truly is.
Yeah.
That he kind of just controls the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling them about insurgents uprising and saying, if you don't do anything about this guy with the big mustache is going to be president.
That was a fucking flex.
That was a flex, and I'll be talking to him in about a month.
Yeah.
And that guy was sitting there. You could tell that he was feeling himself. I'm next in line, baby.
Like me, he's like looking around to see if there's any mustaches in line.
Right. Yeah. So it's the philosophical implications of Rehoboam are certainly there. But also, at the end of the day, it can be used to manipulate currency and predict uprisings and the basic fundamentals of the machine. But I still think that there's something there that is yet to be revealed, and that's going to connect to Bernard.
Kind of leaned away from maybe the possible simulate. There could still be aspects of the season in simulation.
Well, no Maeve. Maeve completely left out.
I'm leaning. It still could be. I'm thinking it could be a mix of both. Of that is a revelation later on in the season. But because I was kind of leaning that way last week, but now I'm kind of leaning that he is actually there in the real world.
Well, with Caleb, too, with his identity, it's just become so up in the air at this point because people keep telling him, and we see these flashbacks, I guess, of why he doesn't deal in personals, that he committed some sort of crime overseas as a soldier that he is repressed so far down in his mind. And it's kind of the drug that almost brings it to the surface here.
The thing with Liam, too, it was pretty interesting because that device where he's able to see everybody, and he's kind of the opposition to Dolores releasing this information. And with Liam, it's weird because I don't think he's necessarily he's kind of like his father in a sense, where I don't think he's like an evil CEO, corporate leader. He's just kind of aloof to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Given everything, he's a figurehead, so he's just living his life as a rich CEO. And sometimes negligence does result in some bad things going on that he might not be directly controlling, but it's just something where I don't know if he deserved to get shot.
No.
Under a boardwalk, but
he was talking shit.
He was talking shit. But at the end of the day, none of this was necessarily his fault. He was just happened to be in the way.
Right, and I think that's why the show has been so brilliant. You pointed this out, that antagonists and protagonists, they're constantly switching. It's really due to circumstance.
Well, Dolores
in that moment, if you're from Liam's perspective, you're putting the world on a trajectory of annihilation.
She's so similar to Serac. Like I said in the Serac video, when you look on the outside looking in, if you were to tell me there's going to be a show with a character that wants to better humanity and save it from a AI that's trying to basically take over and subjugate humanity, I would be like, oh, Serac's the good guy.
Yeah.
And we often see it play out this way, where even if someone has good intentions and wants to do better and save humanity, that their road there will leave people subjugated, like the Calebs in the world. So his way of achieving a better world, while it might, on the outside looking in, work, on the inside and for the everyday person, it's not.
Well,
and
we all know who's going to be the hero. Play his fucking music, boy. That's the Man in Black coming to save the fucking world. No, but before we get to the scene between Serac and Dolores, which I thought was a very good scene, I just want to go to Serac faking Liam Dempsey Sr.'s death. And it's funny because he told Liam Dempsey, he was like, I have to keep these people here because my brother wants to kill you. And Liam Dempsey was like, oh, wow, okay. Thank you. And then he just fakes his death in a plane crash.
Yeah.
Once again, you don't know what's real and what's not with Serac, but I'm going to lean on the side that everything he told us is the truth, because it was more about Dolores learning about these key moments in his life to use that against him in some way. And we've seen this all the time, characters discovering the core drive and how that can kind of be manipulated. Look at Maeve. Serac's manipulating Maeve into helping him.
Yeah.
So with Dolores, I just see her as Ford's protege out there just running wild. And Ford's in heaven smiling down on her. And cradle heaven. And she's just so good. Evan Rachel Wood just spent this whole episode walking around Singapore, and she was excellent. Every time I see her, I'm like, damn.
I like her, it's not a smile, but it's she's smiling, but I don't know. She's not
holding it back.
Yeah.
No.
And real quick with Dolores, and trying to dissect her true intentions. I mean, she's doing this trying to, I guess, open the eyes of humanity. But her reasoning to do this is like you said, to create chaos and for her ultimately to be the one on top. It's interesting the way this show plays with prototypical antagonist and protagonist, because there really aren't any.
And it's funny because on previous episode reviews, we've kind of speculated whether if Caleb knows that Dolores is a host or not.
Yeah.
And in this moment, it didn't seem like he did.
No.
When she goes full Terminator here, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was...
Bulletproof body.
It's like, oh, that's what you meant by Otherworld. I thought you were from the Midwest.
Yeah, right. I thought you were from Iowa. Right, and she was like, I'm different too at the end.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, it's a little different. You're a little type of different, yeah. No, but that was just in a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, it was, when she ate all the bullets and kind of saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
Were they Serac agents, or were they just part of the Anarchy?
It looked like they were just more part of the Anarchy.
Yeah.
That they just kind of ran up on them and thought, hey, it's a free-for-all now, right?
Well, there might be
But it could be Serac agents.
Rico out, too. Who knows?
Right, yeah. Serac definitely could have hacked that app.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, with the information that she learned about him, is it enough to disgrace him? Because they say that he's kind of a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
No one really knows who he is. So I think that would be the shocking conspiracy at first.
Well,
so here's this trillionaire that controls your life.
It's very much an Insight thing, and I think this episode did a good job of separating Serac from Insight. Insight is very much Liam Dempsey. While they might have collaborated on the Rehoboam and Solomon and all the previous builds, he has no connection to that. So you kind of established that connection. And now that Liam Dempsey Jr. is dead, where does that leave Insight as a company?
Yeah, that's a good point. They might just pin it all on him. They're like, this is the man that was controlling your life, and then he died in the chaos. He got what was coming to him.
He was able to wipe all of his history out, so why not be able to spin the coverage or the futuristic media as a way to paint Liam Dempsey Jr. as the bad guy here?
Right, and it just goes back to the point about so many different perspectives and protagonists and antagonists. Who's the good guy? It really just depends on which character you are. Similar to Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best shows. I think it was a couple weeks ago where I was just watching it, and it switches from Bernard to Maeve, and I'm like, wow, there are just so many goddamn good characters in the show, and I never know who I'm rooting for. And it's funny now because Dolores is airborne, and we see Caleb take that giant bag that some random person on the Rico app delivered to him.
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck are they planning now? And that ending happens right after her conversation with Serac. And he's also airborne, so you think that there's going to be some sort of confrontation between them. Not like an airborne battle, but they're both going to in the same direction.
It's interesting to see Dolores' plan play out and how Serac kind of reacts to what just happened. For him, I think it's crucial to kind of stop what is going on, kill Dolores using Maeve, and then bring everything back on track.
Well, he hasn't won yet either. Mm-hmm. Dolores has been pretty much untouched since episode 1 when she was caught by the real Martin, but then she ended up turning that in her favor anyway. Mm-hmm. Serac hasn't won yet. We've seen what he's been able to accomplish. We know that he's very powerful, but he hasn't really backed Dolores into a corner. Like you said, she keeps smiling. Mm-hmm. She keeps half smiling throughout the episode. She hasn't really been pressured yet. So we'll kind of see how she deals with any adversity, and maybe she's kind of built that into her plan. Who knows how far ahead she is, because we know Ford, without a Rehoboam, that boy was 10 steps ahead of everybody.
You kind of see they both have agents working under them with Bernard and Maeve that, like I said before, are probably the two good characters in the show that we have.
Yeah, and we know that Maeve and Dolores are going to have a confrontation from the
Yes.
trailer, where she kind of pulls out a samurai sword, right?
Yeah, so it could be that...
I love this show.
You could have a case where both of them are working under the two, I guess, gods in this scenario, while also trying to enact their own specific plan on what the best option is.
Yeah, no Charlotte in this episode, so we'll have to see the angle that Delos is going to take moving forward, and also William. Mm-hmm. How William is going to get out of there, because you know he is. You know he's going to wiggle his way out of there somehow. You know what it is? He's such a despicable and irredeemable character that I've never really rooted for him, but I always thought he was awesome. The design of the character, the fits, Ed Harris. But if they're going to convince me to root for him, I'm all on board for it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll root for... It's like, when they voted in Churchill. He's a wartime president. Not in peacetime. You don't want him in peacetime.
It kind of plays with we've seen played out. These two people on top who aren't necessarily all good or all bad. William is the perfect guy to throw in the mix of that, where he might team up with Serac, but at the end of the day, he's like, oh, well, Serac sucks too. Yeah. And then Maeve's like, wait, William sucks too.
Yeah, there's it's going to be a lot of people realizing that they're working with people who suck.
Yeah, we can't relate working with people who suck.
No, we all kind of know. We come into it knowing that we all suck. So there's no surprise.
Okay.
It's not like, oh, wow, Teddy sucks. No, I know that.
Yeah, Maeve already knows William sucks.
Right, well, yeah. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.